All right, it's a Thursday night, time for our Las Vegas Triathlon Club member spotlight. And this is going to be a lot of fun. In fact, we're doing our little pre-conversation, and I'm like, how are we going to keep this to 30 minutes? This is going to be so interesting. So we have Eden Capsuto as our guest tonight. I'm going to let Bob do the official introduction. Bob, how's it going?
Oh, it's going wonderful, John. How are you?
Oh, doing good. And I am looking forward to this because Eden is has such a big footprint in our community, especially our endurance community. And it's going to be neat to hear all the different avenues that she's involved in. I know she's very involved with even bringing in new people into the sport. So it's going to be a lot of fun hearing about Eden, who is a Las Vegas native, and there aren't many around. So it's sort of neat to have her on here for that reason too. So, Eden, thanks for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to Bob for the official introduction.
All right. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate that. And Eden, thank you so much for coming on this program. I know you have a really busy schedule, and thanks for taking some time out to do this.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. For the people who are listening, just to give you a little introduction to and background on Eden. Eden's done around 24 triathlons from sprint to 70.3. Um,
Did
we
you
don't
say
know exactly
2000?
what's that.
Did you say 2000?
No, I said about 24.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No.
Not 2000.
You've done quite a few. I've noticed, yeah, including all your half marathons and other races and 5Ks. I might be around 2000, but you've done 24 tries, around 24 tries from sprint to 70.3. And we don't know exactly when Eden joined the club because she wanted to join in 2019. And she found out that her husband, Tony, had already signed her up and made a family membership. So she was a member before she even knew it. So, let's see, Eden is an early childhood special education teacher. And that actually makes her a saint in all of our book. And it's one of the things that make her such a valued and respected member of our club and the community itself. So thank you so much for doing that. And
Thank you. I love it. It's a blessing.
in addition, folks, Eden is the president of the Team Hoyt Las Vegas organization. You can get the information on team, and I'm sure Eden is she can explain it a whole lot better than I can. So I'm going to let her do that whenever we get around to it. To get started though, Eden has an interesting story about why she did her first triathlon, which was around 2002. So if we could start off with that, first of all, welcome again. And what on earth made you want to do your first triathlon back in 2002?
Well, first, again, thanks so much for having me. It's really a privilege. In 2002, and gosh, it's so long ago, right?
Right.
I was married. Well, at the time, I was married to my first husband, and I had a friend who was visiting me here from the San Francisco area. She was telling me all about these triathlons she was doing, and she was like, "Oh, you need to do this with me. You would just love it." And I was just so, I couldn't believe it. I was so excited to hear, her journey and all that she was going through, and she told me about a triathlon that was happening in the early summer, and it was through, I don't know if you remember those, they were all women triathlons, and they were through Danskin. And she said, and the whole theme about it was, no woman, you never finish last, everyone, and there was, it was just such a great community.
I remember the Danskin series, yes.
Yeah. So she said, this would be perfect. It was in Sacramento, and she's like, this is the perfect first try. You should try it. You should do it. And we were in the kitchen. I remember it. And my ex-husband said, well, the day he started laughing and said, the day you complete a triathlon is the day and after that, I don't even remember what he said, because that was it. So the
locked and loaded, you were ready to do it.
I was done. And yeah, and so of course, game on, right? So the next morning, I had never even really ran a mile. in my life other than in PE probably. And the next day morning, I got up and I just kept like running the block and stopping and running and stopping and running. So there's that. That's where it began. So she definitely made a big footprint on my life for sure.
But I do love the challenge. The day you do a triathlon, it's like, okay, I'm doing it.
It was definitely the adventure, that first triathlon. I look back and I'm like, oh my God. But it was like a blooper triathlon. But I did it, and there we go. So
okay, I want to find out about I have never heard anyone describe a triathlon as a blooper triathlon, but I love the term, and I'm going to use that from here.
Because she lived in San Francisco. We had to get a bike up there. And so we ordered a bike off. It was just her and I trying to figure this out. I ordered a bike off eBay. So I never even rode the bike when I got there. So the bike was off eBay. We take it to the bike shop. I mean, it just went, it was like now there's no, like now, well, we all know, right? I think, oh my gosh, but that was the beauty, is there's no really rules. And I didn't know, sometimes it's good not to know rules, right? Because you just do it and show up.
You don't know what you don't know. So it's
No.
And I don't know if you realize how good of a message you just gave. It's like, A, I hadn't run a mile and you trained for a triathlon, and B, I don't even have a bike. So we're going to buy one off of eBay. So had you swum before?
I had not. So I went to LVAC and I swam the laps, and we didn't have our phones to look up like form shapes, like good form. And so I just, I was a pool swimmer, like a normal, a pool in the backyard jump, but not like,
you wouldn't drown in the water.
Style and swimming, what good form, and no one, my friend didn't give me any good tips on spotting the buoys. So my what should have been a, let's just say for a beginner, like a 20-minute swim or a 25-minute swim was a 45. Oh my gosh.
You probably covered a full 1,500 meters instead of 750.
It was so ridiculous, but it's something I always love those moments later, because you can just laugh like this.
Absolutely. John?
Yeah, no, I love this. I love this start one, a friend gets you in, and a lot of times that's how it's neat to start that way, because someone's sharing their race experience. I know you've done that, and you've brought people into the sport following that same thing. So that's neat to hear. That's how you got started. And I'm really struck by, we never know what's going to motivate us. But once we get motivated to do something, I think what a great goal to set out and start that first race. I want to hear more about that. But I am really impressed that you started with just running around the block. And I guess where I want to start now is just, can you look at what you have accomplished now and look back at that starting place and just appreciate how far you've come from that point?
Oh yes, yeah, and this has been good. I mean, I appreciate you both reaching out to me and having me do this, because it kind of causes you to look back, and I don't even realize sometimes. We're just, I think, as humans, looking forward all the time, and sometimes I think it is good to look back and go, okay, I'm not here anymore. And for me, it's more about, I know times are great, but I've had other obstacles in my life that I think just me doing it is better, is just me out there doing it has been the success in itself for me,
I love that. And a testament to is when we're getting ready for the show tonight, we were asking about, races and times, and you're like, I don't remember those. And so I think that's such a great way to approach triathlon, is that it's an experience, and having that experience is really important.
Yeah, thank you. I just really, and I'm grateful that I get to do this, and I have legs that work and arms that work, and it gets, I get emotional thinking about it. So I'm just grateful, that I get to show up every day.
Oh, that's great. So,
I love the fact that you count your blessings and you see what you have, and you're grateful for it. And you know, that really means a lot to me, is the fact that you're so positive about that. And also, I'm glad that, you know, you have a chance to look back to see where you came from too. I mean, which is quite a ways. So yeah, so congratulations on that end of it.
Thank you.
yeah, so I want to hear a little bit more about that journey, because you're describing this first race as sort of a blooper. And I see a comment about your bike, and you mentioned your bike, that your bike was just off eBay, and you ever, I mean, so.
We just left it there. I think we left it on the curb when we were done. I never saw that bike again. So
Eden and her
the
disposable
brake,
bike.
like the brake and the like when I was going up a hill, fell. I mean, all I can tell you.
Okay, so
I almost called my friend today and asked her if she remembered, because I was like, what fell off? Did the brake fall off, or did we duct tape something on? And like it was
so the bike is probably still, the bike is probably still where you left it, because it was that bad, is right? No one's gonna take it.
Somewhere, yeah, or somewhere now turned into something else. So
oh, I love it. So tell me, now that you've had that experience, what made you want to do another one?
well, it was so well, I mean, of course we are competitive, and our times, I knew what to expect after that, right? And I did know the feeling of that completing that, what is, I mean, I'm sure everyone has different goals going into a race, but for me it was completion. It was kind of, you know, and I'm sure we're going to talk about my story and a little bit about my life, you know, but it's just about getting the workouts in and getting there and getting everything together, and being able to do it for me has always been the accomplishment. And I have to remind myself sometimes, because a friend recently was telling, we were running and we were talking, and I'm like, well, I'm not really competitive. And then I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, well, I guess, yeah, I am competitive. Of course I'm competitive, but it's more within myself. So the answer to your question is, I knew what to expect, so I wanted to go back and do better. Because I mean, it was horrible. It really was. I'm surprised. I'm sure I was close to, I mean, I wasn't the last person, but I'm sure I was pretty close.
No, well, and that's a good message as well.
And that's okay, you know.
It's okay.
Yes, it's okay. But it was just, I wanted to improve. So
and that feeling of completion was, it was worth it. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's great that that brought you back to the next race and the next race, but tell us about your journey in terms of getting involved with Team Hoyt.
Team Hoyt Las Vegas, I don't know if, and I'm sure if most people know who Dick and Rick are, but I know a lot of people do not. Dick and Rick Hoyt, who are the original Team Hoyt, they are a man and son who Dick has, Dick is the father, Rick is his son, and Rick has cerebral palsy. And at the time when we got involved with him, I believe, and Dick was just about retiring, and Rick was, I believe, like 50, I want to say 56, and Rick was, I mean, Dick was 76. So it's Rick and Dick. I might be confusing others, because my mind is going. But anyway, this is Team Hoyt, and they have gone, Dick has pushed Rick through hundreds of triathlons and marathons, and has finished Kona. And other than, there's now one other duo team that has completed within the time. And they had started their own organization. They're based out of Boston area. So they just they inspired me. And we'll just kind of go back a little bit to my story. I'm a mother of, between Tony and I, we have 5 children. But three of my children that are my birth children have cerebral palsy. So, so that just brought me pairing triathlon, which I love, and their story, which has been amazing. There's a YouTube video, there's videos all over YouTube, and there's one in particular of him pushing in through Kona. And I was in church one day as a single mom and feeling very defeated. And I have a strong faith, and I guess God knew that anything with triathlon was going to hit me in the head and to my heart. And this was actually in 2000, I believe roughly 2008, when I saw that story on the big screen, and it just hit me. And so it had been in me, in my heart, and it definitely had helped me give me strength for what I was going through. And so then years later, again, I started training for another triathlon, and my daughter Taylor, who's my oldest and who has cerebral palsy, I would see me every morning getting up, going and training, coming back, and would say, I want to do that one day, Mom. I want to do that. And I simply just posted. We're blessed with a very strong following on social media in that community all over the world. And I just posted that video and said, what it would be so cool to do this someday with Taylor. And sure enough, I got this, a friend of a friend saw my post and said, hey, I'm friends with his publicist. And so they connected me with Dick Hoyt and Dick Hoyt's publicist. And within the week, they helped provide me with a chair to push. So it just was all organic. And so it's nothing I just feel like it's just been, I didn't create this, to happen, because I didn't know, I don't think I ever for one moment thought it would be possible that we would be doing this. So there's so many stories, and we could talk forever, and I could just tell you about our journey, but fast forward, we were given an opportunity to, I was given that opportunity and asked, my husband has been so great to help. We both have done this together to start another nonprofit. We were starting a chapter of another nonprofit called My Team Triumph. And
say again, please.
It was another nonprofit that we developed. It was a chapter of My Team Triumph. And many people probably see they're a wonderful organization, and they do the same thing as Team Hoyt. They pair individuals with special needs and they take them through races. And so we had the Las Vegas chapter, but it just wasn't, my heart was with Team Hoyt, but they just were not. Dick was just kind of doing it solo. They were in their community, and they were having, they had their own Team Hoyt organization where they paired athletes, but it was pretty much focused more in the Boston area, in the New England area. And then he started meeting different families and different individuals, the right people that he called it. And he allowed us to be able to continue his mission and start our own nonprofit. So this is ours with his name, and we just are able to continue his mission. So it's been awesome.
And that's wonderful. And for everybody listening, the web address is teamhoytlasvegas.org.
Yes.
The website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. That's wonderful.
So this is inspiring and really neat to hear. And I haven't heard the whole story, so this is nice to have that. So I'm curious now, when did you do the first triathlon with Taylor? When was that?
Well, I've only done one. And that one was the lifetime try. It was a sprint in Arizona, in Tempe. So a friend of mine had done one with her nephew the year before there. And we assisted and showed up and helped, and she helped. It was all new to us, to us, and we got a lot of help from other, my Team Triumph, or my Team Triumph, I'm sorry, Team Hoyt chapters across the country, and asked them for help, and so it was so successful with her nephew Dom, and so I had promised Taylor, and that was back in 2012 is when I told her, when she said she wanted to do that. I said, if I can make it happen, we'll do it.
Oh.
So we were able to complete that in 2019. So
how cool.
That's awesome.
yeah, it was so fun.
That must have been fun. And what, I'm going to jump to the finish line first. What was the finish line like?
Oh gosh, it was so emotional. We had two of my close friends assisted with us to help with, different portions of the race. I mean, every race really should be focused on that rider athlete and what their needs are. So we needed some different things for Taylor, and we needed more support for Taylor throughout the race. And they were there to help her and help me be able to give that to her. And it just made, honestly, more enjoyable because we all experienced it together. It was totally a team. My Taylor can be grumpy and stubborn, and sometimes like, I'm like, why, we're typical mom and daughter, and so it was just great to have two other individuals, and we just supported each other. It was so fun. Like, it was just wonderful.
Eden, what was Taylor's reaction when he crossed the finish line?
She wanted to do it again. She's like, let's go back in the boat. She wanted to go back in the boat. So she loved it. Every single.
That's awesome. And I'm curious.
Well, and as the thing is, I can't explain, and I get so emotional because I get to do this as a parent, and you don't have to do it. I just want to real quick, you don't have to be a parent to be able to do something like this, because I think a lot of times parents, and also you don't have to be an athlete to have your child do it either. Like, it goes both ways, because we can pair individuals up with that rider athlete. But as a parent, I think to have someone cheering your daughter's name, you never really, I mean, gosh, I can her imagine. Prognosis was very grim. It's just, I can't express it. It's just amazing. And that's why for me, even when I don't have Taylor with me or Erin with me, my other daughter, who we also run with, it still means it's a different meaning for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. And yeah, I mean, that takes the sense of community even deeper, and it's an endurance community, but now you're involving, family, and that's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I'm grateful, and we've just met so many amazing people along the way. It's been
and it just is a testament of overcoming different challenges, and you get to that finish line. So that's neat to hear that her favorite sport is swimming then. That's nice.
She really loved that swimming. Yeah. But I had someone else in the boat with her. So she was having a party in there.
Oh boy. That sounds challenging. Okay. So you've done a lot of running races, pushing. So tell us about how you prepare for a half marathon, knowing that you're pushing Taylor or Erin.
For me, and I think we've talked about this before, I've only done one half marathon where I haven't pushed. So we've done, I honestly, for me, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but because I think that's where I started from, was pushing majority. I mean, I've done 5Ks, and done that's initially with. But as far as long distance running, I've always, majority of the time in the past, I'd pushed a chair. So that posture and so it almost, when it gets to the point when I'm not pushing, or when I've let go of that chair and someone else is taken over, it's uncomfortable. And for me, a little bit harder because I'm just used to, I'm not so much leaning. It's just a different posture. It's just, so I
different
think
muscles altogether.
Yeah, I think it's just because I'm just not used to it. But
That's-
it's best when we do our best to train with one of the girls, or we've
Yeah.
also done, you'll see sometimes my husband, one of us, especially him, he's known for this, putting sandbags in the chairs and running around.
Oh, right.
And just for everyone listening, Eden is not slow whenever she's pushing that chair either. She's done a 2:05 half
That was a while
marathon.
ago, though.
2:05 half
That's all right.
marathon pushing a chair. It's like that's a super girl in anyone's book.
Thank you. I would just like to say, though, that was before my 6-year-old. So I'm still
Okay.
working. We're working back towards that. So
Very good.
I love it. So when you pick out a race, what's been the favorite distance to go for? Is it the 5K or the half or what?
um you mean to run with the girls?
Yeah.
You know what? Since we've had Team Hoyt Las Vegas, I've mainly been picking out races for our team.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls are part of that team. But I think I'm really just looking at those fun races when it comes to them. Now, for me, you know what, if I'm going to do a race, I would probably, prefer I like the training. I do like the training. I do like a half marathon. I mean, I do. I say I don't, but I do, because I love the feeling of when we're finished.
Yeah.
And also training for that is you probably need a little bit of me time every once in a while so you can get out on your own.
Yeah,
So,
and that's what I'm trying to I really needed that, I think, mostly since the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
Because we've been this has been our us time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Time is when we go outside and run.
Uh-huh.
So yes, that is pretty much my time that I get for myself
Now
and my friends. And
speaking of picking races, I understand you're doing Salem. And how did you choose that? And are the girls going with you to Salem, or are you just gonna, are you going to do it on your own?
No, yeah. Well, that's how my husband and I choose our individual vacations of what triathlon we're doing.
Very
So
good.
no, we will, I love to watch our community and our friends. I love it to watch them and track them and all of that good stuff. And so it was just so fun last year. We were just, we were in the midst of training for Washington, and we're tracking all our friends and those swims and I mean the times. And I think, after you're tracking, then Ironman hits that, little, hey, register now. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. And also I like to choose, I think I told you this early, try to get on it before my husband chooses our
right. So you
Careful. I think he's listening.
I know.
He's listening. So
yeah, don't give your secrets away.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And you're going to have a big group going up to Oregon. So that'll be almost like a home race anyhow.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it a lot.
That's great. Okay, so now I want you to think back and tell me what has been your proudest moment since your first triathlon.
My proudest? Oh gosh. Well, I don't know about, if it's a half marathon, is that? Because
Sure.
They led me to the half. Triathlon led me to running. So, so I will say, okay, so individually for me, my proudest moment is me completing, for me, is Washington. That was my first Ironman that I did in September, and that because it was, COVID, on and off, and that mental, it was a little brutal. I think we've all experienced it in this community. So I was very proud of that we stuck through it and we did it and we completed it. And but also one of my emotional We do the Las Vegas, Team Hoyt Las Vegas does that race every year. And that is honestly my proudest moments when we do that race, because we get
And
to
which
line
race
up
is that? Which race are you talking about, Eden?
the Las Vegas Rock and Roll half
The
marathon.
rock and roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our team gets to lead them every year and start at the very beginning.
Oh, how
And
cool.
it's just really, for me, I can just look back and go, okay, this is why we do this. Because it's a lot of work and a lot sometimes. And so I'm sure you all know that, right? Of, what you guys have done such a great thing in this community and helped out. And it's, it is a little work, and it's just nice to look back sometimes in those moments and see how, the rider athletes are so happy, and the families are just, there's tears coming down, and that inclusion is just, they're included and they're being cheered upon. It's just so amazing. So
That's got to be amazing.
the proudest moment, I think.
That is great. And you've started that community here in Las Vegas. I mean, that is really impressive to see how that's built out. So I knew we were going to have a hard time staying at 30 minutes. This is what a great story. What a great, you're such a big member of our community, and you're a leader in our community. And it's so wonderful that you've taken the time to join us tonight to share a little bit more about what your journey.
Yes, I knew we were going to run out of time as well. There's so much we can be talking about.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful that I got to just share a little bit and ramble.
Yeah, and
wonderful.
I posted the link to your webpage in the comment section. So if people want to find out more about that, that'd be a great place to start. And I know you're very open to talking with people about any triathlon and pushing, and it's just so neat what you're doing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And we're going to be updating the races for the next season, which will start in September. So if anyone viewers have seen that or go on there, they'll know that it's coming soon. So
very
awesome.
Good. And just so everybody knows, there is a schedule of the upcoming races for Team Hoyt on that website as well.
I think those are outdated, so I'm updating the new ones will be updated. So yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for listening. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.